recording. Am I on? Hello down. G'day. Welcome to today's video. My name is James. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to kind of chat you through... Sorry, you're right near the window. Those cars are really loud. I'm going to try and chat you through the process of finishing a journal page because I've got something half started. I'll put some little screenshots up on the video here, some little overlay of a day I had at Disneyland yesterday. Not the whole day, mostly just parade footage, so hopefully you're into that. I took my journal with me, and this is my journal from Art Journaling the Magic 13. So this is lots of Christmas stuff in here, but I'm trying not to see it that way, because you know what I'm like, holidays after holidays just really don't do it for me. Sorry, I've got my little gelatoni bag here. This is what I took to the park. It's got a little stain on it, I'm so upset. These are the glasses I wore, very subtle. This is from Tokyo Disney. This is actually from artjournalingthemagic.com. You can find those golden book journals. This bag is from Tokyo Disney Sea. This is from Christmas. Oh, this is apparently not in there. This is my little Delde, I don't know the brand, pencil case that is fluffy because I'm trying to create like a teddy bear theme going on here apparently. This is something that Steve got me for Christmas. This is an Art Journaling the Magic staple, so I actually have a lot of stuff in here that is recommended by Art Journaling the Magic. I'll let you go check out Art Journaling the Magic on Instagram if you want more information, because I'm very biased. I'm an ultimate fangirl, and for some of the retreats I teach, so I get way too excited about it. And I don't want you to think that I'm trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to let you in on the joy of my experience. But I went to Disneyland yesterday, so I'll be honest, this is Friday when I'm filming this. It should be up today. Let's cross our fingers and hope that it is. But I want you to see, like, I have a want and a desire to finish this journal page that I started, but it's kind of in its earlier stages. So I'm just going to kind of give you the ideas as I'm thinking about them. I'll put you in an overhead mode as well so you can see, but I will kind of take you on and off throughout the process, because I think I'm gonna have to print some photos. I don't know what else I might need to grab to kind of finish the journal spread. And a lot of the time when I film these things, they become very like, here's a bird's eye view and here's everything start to finish. And it actually looks quite simple, but there's a lot of a process that goes into it. So I thought it might be interesting to actually speak you through that process. I can't say this is what I'm gonna do all the time, because I don't even know how good I'm gonna be at doing this. I know I get very sidetracked, but I do want to go through it and say, oh, I've got an idea for this. What do I need for that? Oh, I need to print a photo. So I'm gonna get a photo. Oh, got to pick a photo, got to put it through my editing. I'll show you like the editing of the photo, and then I've got to go print it. So I've got to send that to my computer, then send it to the printer. It's stuff like that that I edit out when I do the actual video. So you might not see that going on, and you might think, oh wow, it just looks so simple. Every time he sits down, he's got everything he needs right in front of him. I actually don't. My desk is covered in junk from the last time I was sat here. So this is going to be a very eye-opening experience for all of us. Literally, I have an old like Starbucks cup here that I just need to get rid of, and another coffee mug, because apparently I've been needing that much caffeine lately. I'm just going to kind of get right into it. I want to talk you through the process, see if we can finish this journal spread. If any of the ideas appeal to you, please feel free to use them. Have a great time, do your journaling, get your life. And yeah, hopefully we can find something interesting about the process. I personally find it interesting to hear how people go and some of the thought processes that happen along the way, but me having an interest in that and me actually executing a video that makes that interesting are two very different things. So cross fingers that it's all gonna work out. I'm gonna get my desk sorted. I'll put you in the bird's eye view. You can see all the junk that's around here too. I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat anything. I'm gonna get rid of some of the trash. Like this. I don't want you to see that. Right, here's the current state of my desk as it is. We need to clean some of this up to give ourselves a nice little working space. This is actually one of the biggest struggles about filming, is the setup, the angle of the video, how close I want to be to it. Luckily I have these paper backdrops to brighten everything up, but they're a little grungy at the moment. And I can, because see how they're lined? I don't like the lines to be wonky like this. So I just move my paper around until I see that it kind of lines up well, and then I'll commit to that. Sometimes I'll actually tape off like a little tape here, 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 and here, just to know where to stay inside. But today I don't think I'll need that. I've got my journal, I've got my supplies from the day, got my Coke Zero off to the side, and I think we're ready to get started. So quick flip through this, take it in as we go, because I'm not really going to speak about anything. But this is from Art Gelling the Magic. Did I say 13? Yeah, 13. This was from last year, just before Christmas. We did some really, really great stuff. Now, yesterday I managed to paint this little Diet Coke. This is from Galaxy's Edge. It's like a really weird circular Coke bottle with cute little Star Wars writing on it. I'm not a huge Star Wars person. I've actually never seen any Star Wars things, but I'm really all about Galaxy's Edge. I think it's really wonderfully art directed. Then I did a little sketch of the people at Starbucks because I think they're magic makers. There they are. These are the people at Starbucks working to make the coffee. It was a really challenging perspective where I was standing to get this, but I like the job that I did with the people. The architecture, you know, it is what it is. That's kind of why I left it half undone, and I'll be honest, I put these words here because I didn't want to have to draw what was here. You know, creative choices like that, just really saving me a lot of time and unnecessary energy. I started working on this because it was quite blank, but then I gave up because I had another idea to work on Magic Happens, which was the parade that officially debuts today, but we actually saw a preview of it yesterday, and I was obsessed. So I decided to do this page here. This is kind of the logo that they have for the parade. I used some of the theming elements to write out the date and what was happening, because I wanted to do a journal spread about it. I drew some of my favorite little details from the parade. I think a lot of the time I can be very obvious and I'll just draw the most obvious things, but I've been challenging myself more recently, especially at Disneyland, to go into the details. So the things that I might not catch the first time, or I might never even noticed had I not taken the time and you know, placed the intention to look there specifically. So these were some of the alebrijes from the Cocoa float, which is absolutely stunning. I love the parade. Those are just my candid thoughts on that. But I love the parade. These were some of the little characters on the side, and then the hahaha in the Moana unit that just kind of roams around in this basket was an absolute crack up. So I decided to draw both of those. But this is as far as I got through before I went to go and see the parade again. So I've got kind of an empty side page here. I also love how these are, but I'm worried that if I color them in, I'm going to not know what to do with all this negative space. So my initial thought is paint the negative space, just paint the background with lots of colors and leave these illustrations as they are, which I think is what I'm going to do anyway. And I do want to put a photo on here and some journaling as well. I might want to add something else. The only other thing I got from the park were these little maps, but both of these are Star Wars themed, and I actually didn't go to Galaxy's Edge yesterday. I know, shock horror, because I drew that Diet Coke, but in all honesty, that's where I drew it from. I didn't actually go. I've had one before, just so I'm not a complete loser, but I didn't go there yesterday. So I don't really want to put any Galaxy's Edge stuff in there. Even this Disneyland one, I mean, it's got the Disney map in it, but the parade route is kind of this here, and I don't know if that's something that... Sorry, Steve just interrupted me. Threw you under the bus. No, Steve was just having a chat to me. So this happens. This is a part of the process as well. But I did turn the camera off, and I'm starting again, just kind of saying, I don't know if this piece of ephemera is really going to like really float my boat with respects to documenting the parade. So I might just leave that for a second. I could just cut out little bits, but you know what? If I'm truly honest, I've been doing so much memory to memento workshop work that seeing brochures right now is just like, I think I'm good for the brochures on it, like for a hot minute. This was also a little watercolor set that I took with me. There's some Daniel Smith watercolors in the primary set, and also 3 different metallic golds. They're all very different. This is a rose gold, this is like a copper gold, and this is like a yellow gold, which I didn't use any of the golds, but this is just a cute little mixing set. Doesn't take up a lot of space. I almost wanted to challenge myself to use that on here, but I don't think I will. I think I'm going to get my watercolor set out. I'm going to be more fun. Do you know what I'll do first? I'll get my phone. I've got my phone here. I've just added this photo into this VSCO. Is it Visco? I don't really know. The photo editing app. I'm actually going to put a screen recording of this on the screen so you can see how I edit through this photo. Guys, I have no idea how to record my screen. It used to be on the front widgets. Now I have no idea where it is. Okay, I finally figured out. Even that took time. So frustrating. All right, here we go. Okay, so I'm in VSCO. I'm going to click on the photo itself. I can just press through these filters here. I only have the standard ones that come for free, like as if I'm going to pay an extra $1 to have all of these other... No, I probably should, but I don't. I have all these standard ones. So, I mean, there's you could do a lot with these. I don't think you really need, you know, to have everything. I feel like you should be able to kind of make it work with this. Anyway, I'm going to choose G3. I'm not going to have it all the way up. I'm also going to go into these settings and kind of fiddle with the exposure and everything. I like things to be a little bit lighter and brighter, more vibrant as well, more sharp, a little bit more clarity, not too much because it'll kind of bring out all my pores. What am I in here? Is this color? Is this saturation? I'll do a little bit. The toning, sometimes I'll bring the highlights down a touch if I feel like they're blowing out anywhere. It kind of annoys me that I can't brighten highlights in this, or I can't darken shadows. It only gives you one option either way, which is a little bit of a limit on VSCO app that I just don't think works that great. Sometimes I'll change the skin tone just depending on the color of the reds. Lately I've been preferring more of an orangey red than a pinky red. Don't know why, just is what it is. The white balance, temperature, I usually change most of the time a little cooler, if anything. Perhaps I'll add a bit of pink in there. My skin tone tends to run a little pink, so changing all the colors throughout the app, just, you know, it's like you have to put some things back in but take some things out. I generally go way overboard and I don't mind, so this is a personal preference obviously. Then I press, not that. Save as draft. I used to be, I don't know, I don't know how this really works, this is how I know how to work it. I'm gonna save to camera roll. That way it'll be in my camera roll here, and now I can airdrop it to my computer, which is not on. Actually, I'll bring you over to the computer and we'll do that over there. So that's the photo edited. Now I just need to print it. Oh, I would do this on my sprocket. I should probably just say that, but the sprocket doesn't take reds and pinks very well because the paper is, the formula is so that it prints with the ink that's already in the paper, which I think there's a really big limitation as far as vibrant reds and pinks go with that zinc paper. So I want to print this on my regular home printer so I can really punch through with that magenta ink tank. So let's go to the computer. This is the cozy little corner of my living room where I do a lot of my work. I've already got Photoshop open, so this is going to be great. First, I'm going to go create a file. Usually, I don't know if I've explained this before, but if I'm ever doing something specific, I'll create sorry, my computer's slow. I'll create the exact dimensions that I want here. So if I've, say when I was doing my Hobonichi 5-year, you know when you saw the little photo strips that were that filled the space correctly? I would measure 5 centimeters high, 10 centimeters across, and I would actually go over to here where it says pixels, and I'd change it. So the width would be 10 centimeters across, and then 5 centimeters high. Usually I'll leave it 300 DPI because that's a really great resolution to print at, and then RGB color. Now some people would say do CMYK because it's technically the colors that would print from your ink tank, but I've also noticed that a lot of the color profiles as they're sending from the computer to the printer do a really great job converting RGB better than I could do it in CMYK. So I actually stay in the RGB color mode. I know that doesn't really make sense if you know what I'm talking about, but for the most part, I'll pretty much leave it in RGB. I know, controversial. Unpopular opinion. First of all, let me send myself the photo. I made a size that I don't really need, but I'm gonna send this to myself by going, it's still an airdrop, so I'm going to send it to James's iMac. It's going to pop up here. There we go. Great, I can stop my screen recording now. So I've got this photo here. I'm actually just going to drag it over to the canvas size that I made on Photoshop. Now, I will, this is the 10 centimeter by 5 centimeter. I'm actually going to frame this up because I'm going to have room to print this on my photo, I think anyway. This is the aspect ratio that I took the photo at, so that's just the way it is. If I wanted to print this for my Hobonichi and say that was the size I needed, 10 by 5, I'm gonna move this around until it fits where I want it to. If you hold down Shift while you're moving it, it will resize it with the same aspect ratio. If you actually let go of it, you can make it thinner or longer. I mean, some people really out here trying to make themselves thinner like that. Me. Sometimes. Most times. No, let's be real. I do like to keep things relative, so I hold the Shift key down, and it does crop some things off, but for the most part, it's fine. Once you're happy with that, you kind of leave it. I do Command A, which is select all. I'll press Command C, which is copy, and then I'll make a new file. The new file that I want is the file that I'm going to print. So if I've got 4x6 photo paper in there, I'm going to use a 4x6. Or if I've got a US letter size paper, I'll use US letter size. Today I'm actually going to go 4x6. So I'll do it here. Even though I've got some preset options up here, I'll still go to the inches. I'll do width, I want 4, height 6. I'll leave everything else the way it is. Now this is the piece of paper that's going to print from my printer. The reason this has to be 300 dpi if this one is 300 dpi is because I've just copied this by pressing Command C. Now I'm going to press Command V to paste it. That's exactly the size it will print on that 4x6. It would be different if I had a bigger photo. So say I had a 5x7, I tried to paste it onto this little piece of paper I want to print, you would see it would bleed over the edges, and then you would know maybe I need to print it on a US letter size paper to get the whole thing in there. It seems obvious, but some of that stuff just doesn't register until you're actually doing it. So I know this is a really random segue lesson, but I think it really helps sometimes just to know, like, this is how I get those photos the size that I want them. So this kind of fits perfectly. I know my printer, and I know it's probably going to print a little wonky, so I would possibly turn it all the way to the side, 90 degrees. That way I could have it not too close to the edges, and maybe that would be better for me. But you know what I'm actually thinking? I don't know. I kind of want a 4x6 photo, so I'm going to delete that, and I'm just going to drag this straight onto the 4x6. I'm going to hold Shift, and then I'm going to rotate, which is just, I have my mouse is on the outside, I'm just kind of spinning 90 degrees. Now I'm going to size it up by grabbing that corner, holding Shift, and I'm going to fit it to the 4x6 piece of paper. Now, I could do it so that it fills up the whole thing. I actually just want the height to be 4 inches, because I do want to see the whole photo. So I'm just going to resize it so that it fits nicely, perhaps even a little smaller actually, just so I don't print into the margins. My printer can print full bleed, but I just don't love that because you'll see, unless it's doing a really good job and behaving itself, it will print a little wonky. So I might just move this to the center. Photoshop will do a great job of giving you these snapping tools, like snap to a grid. Like you'll move it and you'll see a kind of cross section that says, yeah, I mean, it's in the center now. So I'm actually going to print that. I feel bad because I wanted to show you how you could print the exact size, because this is no regular dimensions. I didn't choose this. I just wanted it to fit on the 4x6 paper. Hopefully you understood what I was saying when I said it. Maybe it'll be something I talk about more in the future. We'll do an easier demo, but for now, let me print this so I can at least have this for my journaling. All right, so let's go to the printer. Okay, so my printer is the Canon MX922. If you've ever followed my story, you know how much issue I have with printers. It's human error that I have all the issues with, not the printer itself. But this is my tried and tested. I love this printer. It's going to print from the top feed tray. I didn't try to explain all the print settings to you just because everyone's printer is going to be different, so it really doesn't help if I explain to you my exact ones. It is on this cabinet. If you can look closely, it shakes because I don't know why it shakes. This just gets very aggressive, but it shakes the whole cabinet. It makes me worried that it's just going to fall apart one day. But it's printing on this little piece of glossy sticker paper, which I love to use sticker paper for photos because I don't have to use glue, don't have to get messy. But can you see, this is printed all the way to the edge. I didn't ask it to do that, it just did that. This is why I don't like to put things too close to the edge. But yeah, it did a pretty good job. I'm gonna take this over to my desk and set you back up again. All right, we're here. While I set up, I decided to grab myself a little tub of water for my watercolor. I've got a little cloth here that I'll use to blot off my brush. And I think we should just get cracking on it because honestly, no time like the present, right? Let's be bad and bougie and use these travel watercolor brushes. I want a thin one for my detail areas, so probably this one. And I'll use the 10 for the outside. These are the Escoda Versatile brushes, or if you're super Australian, Versatile. I'm gonna move these little charms and dangles out of the way. I'm gonna paint the background first because I feel like I need to start there and we can let that dry while we make the other decisions. Let's just plop this watercolor palette on here, grab a little mini mister and spritz over the colors just to get them activated a little bit. Do you know what? I need some clips because this is that part of the journal where it gets a little chunky. Thank goodness I've got the perfect clips for them. Team with the theme. These are from Tokyo Disney Sea. They're super hard to find. I have tried to find links to these, but I really do struggle, so sorry about that. I was going to say, typically I would miss this part of the page as well, just so that if I wanted to do a wash, everything would blend and bleed really nicely, but I actually don't want it to bleed into my sketches, so that's why I'm not misting this side of the page. I'm going to throw down some warmer colors. I'm going for a bit of a rainbow thing, so I'm going to start with my reds and yellows and greens and greens. Reds and yellows and oranges first, and then I'm going to kind of work into rainbow over here. I'm just dipping in and out of different colors here, really not trying to be precious about it. I can let them mix and mingle. I also don't have to have a perfectly clean line or a really smooth gradient blend or a wash. It can just be whatever it is. I think this is your opportunity to just have fun with your mediums, you know, like if you're just going to paint a background that is just painted watercolor, try not to be too precious about it. And yeah, I'm going to try and just have fun with this, get my colors moving, enjoy the feeling of the brush, enjoy the feeling of the watercolors, seeing them mix together and how they react, looking at the differences between the different colors. This is a time for fun, but it's also a time for learning as well. If you're open to that, it doesn't have to be, though. You could use this time to turn your brain off. I know there's certainly probably more times where this is my brain off time than my brain on time. But obviously my brain is on today, so I can share my thoughts with you. It's probably too on. Brace yourself, ladies. By the way, when I say ladies, I do mean ladies and gentlemen, but it just doesn't sound the same. I'm actually quite aware that there are many gentlemen in this mixed media art journaling world as well. Believe it or not, we do exist. We're just typically in hiding. Not really. Look, I'm doing an awful job with that. That's going inside the lines. Ironically, usually we're not trying to color outside the lines, but negative painting is all about painting the outside. And it is something that is, it seems quite obvious, but if you've never tried it before and you don't know the benefits to it, could seem groundbreaking for you today. I actually really like it when I've got sketches like this that I don't want to color, either because there's such a charm to the sketch itself, or because I don't know how to color it, or I feel like adding color is just going to make it stand out in the worst way. You know, coloring the negative space can be a really great way to get color onto your page without actually having to color what you drew. It's also a nice way to ground all the illustrations if they don't really match each other, because whilst there might not be harmony in theming, there could be a really harmonious color story that brings everything together. You know what, maybe I won't use the little brush, because I think using the little brush at this point is going to make me a little too pedantic, and I am really trying to avoid that. My watercolor palette here is a mixture of colors. It's Daniel Smith watercolors, Geckoso watercolors, designs by Rachel Beth. I also have Hydrocolor watercolors in here. I have a Cliffs of Watertown, this pink iridescent purple one. I have a rose gold that was handmade by a friend, Zandra. There's just a lot going on, so that is kind of how I like it. I'm not really a technician when it comes to color mixing. I like to play intuitively with my watercolors. So if something does look a little muddy, I'll just kind of blot it out as I go. I've been lucky this time and these colors have kind of worked well together, but that's come from curating this palette over the course of, what, a year and a half now. I think I've been trying to make this palette something that I like, that kind of works well together for the most part. So yeah, don't throw any credit over this way. If something works out, a lot of the time it's just because I've just been lucky. Which is a blessing in and of itself, to be honest. So this parade wasn't particularly rainbow. In fact, the color story was very, well, from what I gathered, at least from the promo materials and the opening costumes, was that it was very purple, blue, pink, colors that I would actually really gravitate towards. The only reason I chose to do the rainbow is because I just felt like that today. I was thinking yesterday when I thought how I'd finish this, I was like, yeah, no, I'll just do it with the colors from the parade. That'll really tie it in. And you know, it's all good to make those decisions as well. Like, it's hard because I'm trying to balance what I've been teaching in my travel journal workshop and then this. But you know, ideas are changing all the time, right? Not to say that it's already outdated, the travel journal workshop, but the thing that I kept reiterating at certain points was, I know it would have made more sense to, you know, if I was going to draw something that related to Disney, that I draw Mickey Mouse, but sometimes it was something else that happened there that was more evocative of the memory that I was trying to capture, that it actually didn't make sense to draw Mickey Mouse. It made sense to draw Stella and I sitting there freezing in the cold, because there was more of a memory attached to that than there was the Mickey that we were looking at while we were, you know, having that moment. So this is why I think there's no hard and fast rules about documenting, about journaling, and you really should just go with what is peculiar to you and particular to you. I say peculiar because it's a Kath and Kim thing, but go with what's particular to you, because those are parts of your story that people are going to find a lot more fascinating. And I think we can get caught up in the fact that, oh, if someone sees this on Instagram or social media, they're not gonna realize that I went to Disneyland because I drew, like, I drew flowers that were there. Like, one of these lessons in here, and I'm not going to give anything away, but Britt taught us how to get in touch with some of the nature at the park. And to me, there is so much like beauty of the park attached to that, what she taught us in that lesson, that I would never look at that page and think, oh yeah, Disneyland. But now when I look at it, all I can think of is the beauty of the flowers in the park. So definitely use this as an excuse to be as abstract as you want, because no one's going to look at this and tell you that your memories were invalid and the way that you documented them doesn't make sense. You're allowed to go mental. You can be weird. And if no one else celebrates it, I'll celebrate it for you. Even Steve, when he looked at this, he was like, what are those? And I said, they're from the Coco float. Now, Coco is a story that he relates to more than anything else on this planet, and he didn't even get what these were when I first drew them. Does that make me mad or upset that he didn't get that? No, not at all, because this was about my day and what I noticed from the parade, and they really stuck out to me, so I was going to draw them. Were there more obvious things? Yeah, absolutely. But what did I want to draw? I wanted to draw these little things because they looked so weird, and I thought, oh, I just love the mashup of characters. It was kind of reminding me of when I tried in my Disney inspiration video, when I tried to mash up that duck with the rabbit, and it just did not work. So I thought, oh great, I'll revisit this. I'll see what makes these successful in my eyes rather than the duck rabbit that didn't quite work out. Are these even the most perfect representation of what I saw? No, because I was looking at a video still to try and make it work. But yeah, all I can say is don't worry about it. If it speaks to you, that's all that matters. That's all that's important during this process. And all of that to say, a rainbow palette seemed much more like me today, so that's what I went with, even though it might not make sense. I mean, it is. It's bright and colourful and cheery, so that always kind of makes sense with Disney, but yeah, I definitely had a colour palette that I could have worked with. I just decided to lean into my intuition today rather than appease that other part of my brain that says, no, you know it's this, so just do that. Sometimes pleasing that voice will get you really stuck really quickly. Okay, so I've put the background in. I've done a really interesting job of making a patch of white over here I can't quite fix. I think it actually looks quite beautiful. I love that. I'm going to push it over to the side to let it... Just moved my entire paper, which means everything's out of whack now. I'm going to have to reset up my video setup. I'm going to leave it off to the side. I'm going to rejig this for a second. See, it's all this stuff that just takes time. You never really realize. Grab my trimmer. Now that page is fully blank, so I can trim this to any size and it'll work. Love this trimmer, by the way. The Tim Holtz Tonic paper trimmer, the really small one. Absolutely obsessed. This has gotten me through literally everything. And the blade has never needed to be sharpened. There's some kind of witchcraft and sorcery going on here. I have no idea, but it is such a fantastic trimmer. I was just gonna say, I have a full page, so this can be any size I want. So I'm gonna kind of leave it as big as I want it, but just slice off these edges. Let's bring this back into frame. Oh, cat hair. And now I have a big old photo with nothing around it.